some of the View tea. So let's talk about Nutmeg McCain. Now, the other day, I don't think we really talked about this. I might have talked about it in passing, but I can combine and bring the whole thing full circle. So the other day, I believe Rosie O'Donnell did a podcast where she revealed that The View is planning a 30th anniversary special. That'll take place next season, which begins next month in September. Because they work all year round. They take the month of August off, and that's basically their vacation, which I think is perfect. Especially when you're media. I'm like, I work all year round. Just give me 1 month off. I'm Gucci. So that's kind of like the career I would always want. But anyway, so Rosie O'Donnell also said that they might be bringing about a bunch of the past, the View chicks, or well, it was all women. So a lot of the past co-hosts to come on and celebrate the milestone. Then I heard some people like Michelle Collins coming out and say, "Oh, I didn't hear anything about it," blah blah blah, so on and so forth. She seemed to be a little peeved, even though she didn't have the best time being a moderator on the show. Well, not a moderator, a co-host on the show during the season she was on. I think she was on the season around Sherry Shepherd and Jenny McCarthy and all of them. I think that's when Michelle Collins came on. Because I do remember, I'm trying to remember, I think Michelle Collins was there when Candace Cameron Bure was there. Because that was the last time I went to the View set, and that was at the old studio. Which, let me tell y'all this. The other day when I went to go see, what was it, The Odyssey or Spider-Man? One of them, because I saw them both at Lincoln. That building where they used to host the Live with Regis, yeah, Live with Kelly and whoever she was co-hosting with, and Eyewitness News and The View. Who else? The Chew. All of those shows that they had up in that building is gone. I went over there. You come as soon as you get off the train at 67th. I think it's 67th, right? 67 Lincoln, that whole situation. As soon as you come up the steps to the right, that whole building is gone. So they done got rid of the building. Because they already moved down to Hudson Yard. That's where they're at now. So I was shocked when I was over there. I did not expect them to just demolish that entire building, but they did. So with all that being said, and that's where they hosted the old View show, and that's where I actually went. So um I even said in my head when all of this came out, I was like, oh, with the way Nutmeg McCain been going in and letting have on this show, whenever they talk about any little thing and she needs it for clout purposes, or I said they are not bringing her big wide back um ass linebacker shaped ass over there on the View, especially with all the crap she's been talking about them. So now here comes the story. But I said this in the back of my head because I was like, whenever I was going to bring up this story, I would have brought that up. But here they go talking about it. So Greater Minds page 6. So after news broke that The View is planning to invite past hosts back to celebrate their 30th anniversary next season, multiple sources tell Page Six they'd prefer to keep McCain away. Several said that they would be shocked if Brass even extended an invite, given the way she treated people. One person said, quote, "She is the most horrible, biggest pain in the ass," referring to behavior on camera and behind the scenes. One source claims she once hurled the F bomb at an executive producer in front of their studio audience. They said she's a nutbag. Well, why the hell do y'all think I call her Nutmeg McCain? I said, obvious. I've been calling her Nutmeg for years. But anyway, so McCain's petulant outbursts were well documented during her time on the show. Moderator Whoopi Goldberg became so visibly fed up with her once during a debate. Oh, I remember that she scolded, "Girl, please stop talking. Please stop talking right now." They didn't put that in there, but I'm adding it because that's what she said. Me, because I remember like vividly like it was yesterday. Meanwhile, y'all always notice that Joy and McCain always got into it on the show. And she also, speaking of Behar, she didn't mince words when Nutmeg joked about her missing her when she returned from maternity leave after being away for 3 months. Behar bluntly told her, "I did not miss you, zero." And it appears that remains the case among staffers since she exited the show permanently in 2021. Quote, "Forget about how she treated her co-host. It's less about that and more about how she treated the staff. She would even scream across the stage, 'Do you know who I am?' Alleging the late Senator John McCain's daughter would often remind people who my father is. Well, girl, you're a fat, annoying, loud mouth, always wrong politically. daughter, Nepo baby of a senator, a war hero. Yes, I don't agree a lot on his politics, but I give credit where it's due. He did a whole lot more as a man and as a politician than that fat, orange, ugly fuck that's wearing pieces on his head currently in the White House. And you sit up there and allow that man to talk about your father and all this other stuff, and you be over here defending him. Your father's probably doing somersaults in his grave as we speak. But yeah, you're a Nepo baby. And here's the thing about her. I told y'all, once upon a time, I was a Nutmeg McCain fan. And this is before she became like a fucking psychopath over there on The View. I used to watch her show on, I believe it was Pivot, where she had a little political show. And to me, it always seemed like she came across as like a new age Republican, which would be more progressive in her political ideologies. Then I guess she went married that other wide back linebacker shaped bastard, Ben Dominic. I think once she married him, her brain then turned into fucking figgy pudding. And then she started coming out saying all this stupidness in the politics. So that made me kind of, that turned me off. So before the turn off Asian, I actually liked her, the idea when they brought her on The View, because I was like, oh yeah, I like what she was doing over there on the little show that she had, and maybe she'll bring that perspective to The View. Then come to find out years later that The View ain't interested in anybody that has any kind of progressive ideas. They always want to keep it to the middle. They always want to keep it to the point where you get to appease the shareholders and the business people and the corporations. So it was all a lie in the words of Carly Red. And then she got on The View and she just became this freaking psychopath. She became a nutbag. So I was like, that was a disappointment. But who took over from her ever since? Was it, I forgot after she left, who took over? Was it Alyssa? Was that the one who got the job after her? I think it was Alyssa. But anyway, they said there's no love lost on McCain's part. Now in 2021, she blasted the show's toxic work environment. It's funny, she's saying it was toxic, but you was the toxicity, allegedly, in an excerpt she published in her audio memoir, Bad Republican. She further revealed the reason she quit the show was because she felt mistreated for having conservative values. She also shared that she had experienced postpartum anxiety after welcoming her first child and returning to the show. She said, as I was dealing with my own emotions, I couldn't also navigate the idea that I was hated and felt hated in a toxic work environment. McCain's criticism of the show and her co-hosts became more pronounced since she referred to them as the most talented women on all of television during her exit speech in 2021. In fact, those days are long gone. She slammed Goldberg, Behar, Sarah Haynes, Aaron Navarro. I don't think Ann Navarro could stand her. Sonny Hostin and Alyssa Farron Griffin as shitty when she sat down with Vice President. Please, she sat down with JD Vance. I cannot. You're sitting down with someone who is vice president to one of the most vile presidents in all of history, who has insulted your father in public, but you have no problem sitting down with them? Girl, you a clown. She said, my biggest takeaway from Vance on The View was honestly how shitty and undisciplined their hosts still are, which I don't know what she was watching, but I thought they handled the whole JD Vance situation fairly well. You can't get Trump on there because he's not going to be honest about anything when they ask him, but they grilled his ass, and rightfully so, which is what you're supposed to do. When you have the opposing team on your show, you ask well-balanced, nuanced questions, which is what they did. Because I watched the episode. We did a whole watch situation here where I spent more time stopping and starting to get my political commentary. But for the most part, we watched it on this thing. So I don't know what the hell she was watching. But I guess in her fantasy land of that brain of hers, that's what she came up with. She said after all these years, they still get basic facts wrong, flub easy questions, and can't get through a segment without yelling at each other, which we watched the episode, there was no yelling. Now, her former on air colleagues and reps for the show consistently ignore her attacks, which I definitely think is smart. Nobody, to be honest, let's be honest, and we always are when it comes to the show, or just our version of honesty or whatever you want to call it. The only time that I've noticed that Nutmeg get any kind of clout, news, whatever the case is, the only time she ends up in the news cycle is when she's talking about The View. Yes, she gives and she says certain things out here, and y'all try to make a story of it. But when it's attached to the View, that's when the numbers and the viewership and everything blows up. But to be honest, if you don't care about this show was a hostile work environment. If that you hated being a part of the thing, why do you constantly have their name in your mouth? Why do you constantly talk about the stuff? Why are you even watching segments with Republican people, be it a politician or a commentator or whatever the case is they'll have on the show? Why are you even speaking on it? You don't like the show. It was a traumatic situation. It was your PTSD, as you claim, which means you don't have PTSD. You got LOFOS, which is you full of shit. That's what it is. And then you know that, like we all know, you're an algorithm hustling, meaning that you know that by you bringing up the view, it's going to get you more viewers. So let's call it what it is. I hate when people don't just call shit a spade a spade. Y'all just want to come out here and piss on my leg and tell me it's raining. It's like, no, let's not do that. And so I think if you've been talking so much crap, why would you want to? And even if what you say is true, why would you even want to subject yourself to want to go over there and deal with whatever trauma that you claim they put you under, behind, whether behind the scenes or with the co-host? So I think the smartest thing for them to do is not include Meg McCain and watch her. If this turns out to be true that she's not invited, watch her go on a whole rant on YouTube or whatever it is regarding the fact that they didn't give her an invite, and then we'll have the constant amount of, sis, you literally said that you don't want no parts. You said those people were shitty or whatever it is that you have said many a times over the years. Why would I want to go any place I'm not invited? Or why would I want to go back to the scene of a crime that treated me like absolute crap? Once I'm done with a job, I'll be like, and move on. Like, why do you think like with the stuff when I told you I used to work at AMC? I've never, since I left that place, I'm no longer part of that job. I never went back to Empire 25, which is on 42nd Street. I've gone to every other AMC. I will never step foot in that other theater because I don't know how I'm gonna act when I walk through them doors. So when it comes to past jobs, I don't want no parts. Why would you want any parts? Unless, like I said, you just full of crap and you want the attention. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story regarding Nutmeg McCain allegedly not getting an invite to the View's 30th anniversary? I should see that. I should say that the executive producer of the show, what's his name, Brian Teta. Um, he said that no invites and everything has gone out. People are over here running around with narratives. I'm paraphrasing because I can't remember exactly what was said, but he said that yeah, they are planning something. Um, Wait, oh, wait, I think I do have the statement. Yeah, the show's executive producer, Brian Teta, addressed the chatter surrounding the show's 30th anniversary and said he confirmed via Twitter that lots of plans are in the works, but no invites have gone out. So we'll see how it all turns out once we cross that bridge, and that'll be in September when the new season starts. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below.